Jaya Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Baba Girivardhari Yasodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Kunjabi Hari Radha Kunjabi Hari Hari Jaya Jagannath Jaya Jagannath Jaya Baladev Mai Subhadra Jaya Srinataji Jaya Bhagavatam Jaya Srinataji Jaya Giri Govardhan Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Jaya Gaurani Jai Prabhupada Jai Srila Prabhupada Rama Jaya Gurudev Gurudev Jaya Jaya Gurudev Jaya Vishnupad Paramahamsa Brivrādikacharya Astora Satyashishimara Divine Grace, founder of ISKCON, Abhay Charanavinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Shrimadbhagavatam Ki Their most merciful Lordship Shri Kunja Bihari Ki Jai Shri Jagannath Shri Baladev Mai Subhadra Ki Jai Shri Nataji Shri Balagopal Ki Jai Shri Gaurnitai Ki Jai Nitai Go Prem All glories to the assembled all glories to the assembled all glories to the Lord Spirit of Shri Guru and Shri Garamka. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya. Naram Chaiva Narottamam. Devam Saraswatim Vyasam Ito Jayamudiraya Nastaprayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhagavati Naistiki. Did we do the verse yesterday? I read the verse or what? I did read the verse, but I didn't read the purport entirely. I did do the purport also, but I stopped class because of the noise. But it was just okay. So we'll do the next verse now. That's 23. Going. Shrimadbhagavatam. What is it? 24. Oh. Okay, text 24. Canto 1, chapter 5, text 24. Te mai apetakila chapale arbhake te mai apetakila chapale arbhake Dante, Drita, Kritanake, Nuvartini, Dante, Drita, Kritanake, Nuvartini, Chakru, Kripam, Yadyapi, Tulya, Darshana, Chakru Kripam Yadyapi Tulya Darshana Sushushamane Munayo Lipna Pa Basini Sushushamane Manayo Pa Basini Te maya petakila chapaler bake. Dante trita kridanake nuvartini. Chakru kripam badyapi tulya darshana. Sushushamane manayo pabasini. Te maya petakila chapaler bake. Te maya petakila chapaler bake. Dante trita kritanake nivartini. Dante drita kritanake nivartini. Dante drita kritanake nivartini. Chakru kripam yadyapi tulya darshana. Chakru kripam yadyapi tulya darshana. Shushumane munayo lupa basini. Shushamane munayo pabasini. Please check. Te maya petakila chapaler bake. Dante drita kritanake nuvartini. Chakru kripam yadyapi tulya darshana. Chakru kripam yadyapi tulya darshana. Shushrushamane munayopabhasini te mai unto me apeta not having undergone akila all kinds of chapale proclivities arbake unto a boy Dante having controlled the senses Adrita Kritna Nake without being accustomed to sporting habits. Anuvartini did obedient. All right. Chakru did bestow. Kripam causeless mercy. Yadyapi although. Tulya darshana impartial by nature. Shushrushamane unto the faithful. Munaya the Muni followers of Vedanta. Alphabasini one who does not speak more than required. Temaya petakila kapaler bake Dante drita shridanake nuvartini chakru kripam yadyapi tolya darshana shushrushamane manayo pabhasini. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty, and I did not speak more than required. Please repeat. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty, and I did not speak more than I required. Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was a self-controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty, and I did not speak more than required. Purport by His Divine Grace, Abhay Charnadavinda Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. In the Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says, quote, all the Vedas are searching after me. Lord Sri Chaitanya says that in the Vedas, the subject matters are only three, namely to establish the relation of the living entities with the personality of Godhead, perform their relative duties in devotional service, and thus achieve the ultimate goal, back to Godhead. As such, Vedantavadis, or the followers of the Vedanta, indicate the pure devotees of the personality of Godhead. Such Vedantavadis, or the Bhakti Vedantas, are impartial in distributing the transcendental knowledge of devotional service. To them, No one is enemy or friend. No one is educated or uneducated. No one is especially favorable, and no one is unfavorable. The Bhakti Vedantas see that the people in general are wasting time in false, sensuous things. Their business is to get the ignorant mass of people to reestablish the lost relationship with the personality of Godhead. By such endeavor, even the most forgotten soul is roused up to the sense of spiritual life, and thus, being initiated by the Bhakti Vedantas, the people in general gradually progress on the path of transcendental realization. So the Vedantavadis initiated the boy even before he became self-controlled and was detached from childish sporting, etc. But before the initiation, he, the boy, became more and more advanced in discipline, which is very essential for one who wishes to make progress in the line. In the system of Varnashram, Dharma, which is the beginning of actual human life, small boys after 5 years of age are sent to become brahmachari at the Guru's ashram, where these things are systematically taught to boys, be they king's sons or sons of ordinary citizens. The training was compulsory, not only to create good citizens of the state, but also to prepare each boy's future life for spiritual realization. The irresponsible life of sense enjoyment was unknown to the children of the followers of the Varnashram system. The boy was even injected with spiritual acumen before being placed by the father in the womb of the mother. Both the father and the mother were responsible for the boy's success in being liberated from the material bondage. That is the process of successful family planning. It is to beget children for complete perfection. Without being self-controlled, without being disciplined, and without being fully obedient, no one can become successful in following the instructions of the spiritual master. And without doing so, no one is able to go back to Godhead. Om Jnana Timirandasya Dhananjana Shalakaya Chakshusha Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. So Narad Muni, I believe, is revealing his own childhood. Yeah, Narad Muni is revealing in his childhood how he got darshan of the most advanced souls of society, the Vedantas, the Bhakti Vedantas. And here again, it's funny, every time now I read from Shrimadbhagavatam, I get the idea of a perfect city, protected. And you could see that point being made here that the children, just like when they enter public school here at 5 years old, they entered school at 5 years old, but it is not for self-realization. It's to learn A, B, C, D, F, G. So the alphabet comes along with, though, side by side, learning and teaching. So just as in Vedic culture, in a city like that, where there are children being born, then they would have Gurukula. And in that Gurukula, then they would learn principles about Krishna consciousness. But the value of there being a city that is protected from the outside world, then, is that these children would not have to be exposed, having their minds exposed to all kinds of things that happen in this society that is being conducted by people who are not self-realized. And so their minds become exposed to greed, envy, lust, desires that they don't really need. All these computers and all these kids carrying around phones and all that, totally unnecessary now. And they will lose, to a great extent, capabilities their own mind would otherwise have had. When I first started working as a boy, and I worked as a cashier, nowadays, cashier pushes one button and it tells them the price of whatever it is. But you had to add up in your mind the prices of, however, if you had 5 things that were 15 cents each, you had to know 75 cents. Then you punch in 75 cents. The thing would add up for you, but you had to add individually to type in the things. But it's true that the mind should be used for higher purposes than just counting and just putting numbers in our brains. What we see here being thought of as a normal activity for a child to go to school, right? But what is being revealed here is that that child is going to learn from a master who has the ability to give that child the knowledge to go back to Godhead, to enter into the eternal realm, which is a completely different education altogether from the American history that we're learning. See, when we were talking this morning, Dave and I were talking this morning about the partial devastation that took place when Indra flooded Vrindavan. It would be interesting to know what the history of the people on the American continent had the experience of, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah, it really would.
See, this would really confirm whether, if they had no flooding account whatsoever, then this would confirm that it's just a local event taking place. Same thing with the continents of Africa and the Huns of Europe and all these different civilizations that were around at the time. I shouldn't say this as a certainty. Well, I can say this as a certainty as far as modern archaeological investigation is concerned. What is being turned up by Drudakarma and Sariputta previously, the late, great Sariputta Prabhu, is that a lot of things being turned up as ancient histories of civilizations that do not go along with what they've already preconceived in their minds as being the history of the world, then they just kind of poo-poo it. The same way the early church fathers did with ancient writings. They went by their mind's criteria that they had developed to that time to supposedly give them superior knowledge to what would be allowed as teachings of God and what would not be allowed as teachings of God, even though all of these writings were compiled together as all being inspired by those souls who had been led to write those teachings for the benefit of the future generations. But now see what is happening with war. It wipes out the histories of the previous civilization. And so we lose whether it would be a confirmation one way or another. Whether maybe they did have a flood that flooded the whole United States. Or maybe it didn't. Maybe it didn't flood South America, Central America. We don't know. Without the histories of the people having been through that era, and this is the problem with war, then we wipe out the histories of the people who are carrying histories with them of their forefathers, showing that we all are hooked together, linked together, familial-wise. We're all related somehow or another on this planet. We're all coming out of the same person. So the seed. See, too, just as we're seeing of ourselves our ability to only produce one kind of seed, right? As human beings, we perform we create, recreate, procreate the particular kind of individual that we are. Lord Brahma is of a superior nature, and out of his body can come angels, can come Gandharvas, can come animals, can come lusty demons out of the self-same body. So his body is of a completely different nature than our body is. And what consciousness developed, controlled consciousness is giving to us is the ability to develop a higher form of consciousness which would enable us to be able to be endowed with a superior kind of a body. If that is our aim in this world, which is what all of these paths towards heaven is giving to the followers who are on those particular paths to get to heaven. And what that brings with it is the type of bodies that are being inhabited by the souls who are put into those situations because of their pious deeds, previous pious deeds, not even bhakti. So all these deeds in the world looked at as pious, right? Feeding the poor, clothing the poor, offering shelter to the poor. These kinds of quote-unquote pious activities will not lead one any further than to the heavenly realms within this universe. And so what is missing, the knowledge that is required to pass beyond this universe, is knowledge of Krishna, knowledge of the pastimes of Krishna, which Nard is also explaining to Vedavyas that he needs to write about. And it is that will separate those children who are taught in those pastimes from those children who are taught even Vaishnava practices simply for Varnashram application, the Varnashram system. The Varnashram system is looked at as like karmakanda, right? So you perform certain ritualistic activities and you get a certain result, and you want to perfect your senses, you want to become better and better at what you do, and you want what you do to be beneficial. These are all activities sought by most human beings, but it's not transcendental. And so we have to see Krishna consciousness for the transcendental nature that it is, going beyond just making us better citizens of the world, better citizens of the universe even. We want to develop that consciousness that will enable us to be citizens of Vaikuntha and beyond. Beyond meaning completed in love with Krishna, so dear that Krishna has an intimate relationship with us, like Arjuna had with him on the battlefield, but even beyond that, like the gopis. So Prabhupada explains, though, in our viewpoints towards Krishna's relationship with the gopis, we cannot mix up Sachidananda, Vigraha, Krishna as Vigraha, unlimited, revealing to Satchidananda its own nature. That's what Krishna is doing with the gopis. So we cannot relate that to being the same experience we have had with women or with members of the opposite gender that we are. It's not the same. It's not the same at all, because the nature of the body is not the same. The nature of the experience that one can have with the body is not the same either. These elevated senses that we're hoping to perfect will enable us to experience higher forms of pleasure that we are enabled to experience as long as we seek to satisfy these senses. So what comes automatically without the pursuit is that which is higher, greater than that which, the soul keeps trying to provoke to bring to itself. It's almost like an act of thievery. We come into the world and then pretty soon we think of ourselves as entitled. It's a mentality that is just totally backwards from what we should be. We should be feeling indebted. I owe 33 million demigods are responsible for the fact that we have functioning bodies, we have wind, rain, the elements that allow foods to be brought up from the ground. So many things controlling everything around us that enable us to continue our existence, which we take for granted. For the most part, we're not even thinking about that through the day. It's just like, we're entitled. Everything owes me. That's the mentality of the false ego. I am owed. Then, see, what happens, people develop this mentality through what they're being told even by leaders. We have rights. The right to speak and say whatever I want. Well, yeah, but if you speak lies, you will suffer for it. So with freedom comes responsibility. With knowledge of truth and precepts of God as well comes responsibility. So that means we have to use the knowledge for what it's being given to us for, and that is to give it. We look at the wealth of our lives. The only thing we can buy with money is material things that are of a temporary nature. And the only thing you can buy that which is eternal with is love. We are buying, I think it was Bhaktivinoda. Krishna is selling himself in the byways, in the streets. Come and purchase Krishna with your love, with your devotion. And Krishna will, by seeing your loving devotion, then he will glance upon you favorably. That's actually the thing we should be looking for. If we can act in such a way that Krishna will see us. Srila Prabhupada said, don't try and see Krishna, but act in such a way that Krishna will want to see you. So, you do that simply by, just imagine Krishna hearing the same melody that he gave in the form of Lord Chaitanya to his most intimate associates, being sung by his devotees today. That's what he can hear as Krishna in us, but as Lord Chaitanya in us. See, we bring remembrance to Super Soul with all the these things we read in Krishna consciousness, super soul is also, we could say, getting enlivened, right? Makes Krishna happy that we are using this human form for what he made it for, to be used for. So that makes Krishna happy, simply by doing what we said we're supposed to do. Just like Narad is saying, I wasn't a naughty boy. You can see a lot of these boys, they're very quiet. They wait to be told to do. Of course, some of them are very noisy also. We had a child in here yesterday, and this child comes because his parents cook, but he makes so much noise, you can't even hardly chant without his noise, just yelling and screaming. Srila Prabhupada said, a child, until they're 5 years old, just let them do whatever they want.
Oh, for me?
Yeah.
Okay.
But, see, when you're in the temple, you have to take into consideration as well the people around you. So the temple has a purpose. If the child's going to be like that, then take the child out. Let him be like that, but somewhere else, right? So similarly, when we preach to people, if they're blasphemous, and more than just inquiring because they want to know. Blasphemous people, they inquire because they're trying to find some fault with you. They want to pick out something that they can say, you're off, and they know better than you do. So the devotee learns the ability to discern between faithless, atheistic demons who are enviously trying to pick a fight verbally. I remember giving a tour through here with these people. They were Christian. I knew right off the bat they were Christian. But as they kept telling them my relationship with Christ and how I came to Krishna consciousness and everything like that, I thought they were receiving, you know. They smile and yeah, I agree with you. And then at the end, you need Jesus. You need Jesus, you know. You're thinking they're holding all of these things in their heart as dear, as you're holding them in your heart to you. But they're not. And what happens? When the false ego mixes with religion, that is what is turning all of these people away from the original process and having them believe that their own way is the only way. This way that has been concocted by men's minds. When they take an ancient scripture which they say has been given by God, and then they endow themselves with the belief that they have themselves the mind to determine what is of God and what is not of God, before having even been exposed to these things at all, to know in the context what the meanings are, and whether God has a purpose for giving certain civilizations certain teachings, and certain other civilizations different ways for them. Similarly, when we all come to Krishna consciousness, we all have different backgrounds. And we have all involved ourselves with this material energy, having developed different desires. And that has caused us to develop different abilities. And one person has the ability to make music. Another person has the ability to make clothing. Another person has the ability to plant food crops. And so all souls that are coming to Krishna consciousness with all these different desires, Krishna has the way of satisfying them all and giving us the ability to use those developed talents that we have up to the point of having come to him more perfectly. Because when our senses are purified and we're taking in foodstuffs to allow the body to function 100%, then our gradual application of the precepts we learn will become more and more perfect day after day after day. When other souls come in and tamper with the teachings of God, they tamper with the food that God has created, made perfect, they tamper with ways of dealing with the physical body, creating their own ways of medicine, creating their own jobs, creating their own, which takes the place of devotional service. Because they want to be served. Serve me, I, me, and mine. This is all false ego. Very rarely do you see people setting up places for the purpose of pleasing God. Even in churches, even amongst those who are building churches, a great many of them have the desire for that to be their career, their profession, that they can make money off of doing. You see these TV and evangelists building empires, millions and millions of dollars worth of materials in this material world, driving their own private jets from here and there, which is fine. They're doing service of the Lord. But if our hope is for these great kingdoms in the world, that will be our end result. That will be what we will get. If our hope is to please Krishna, he tells us then that he will put us in a better place. We don't even have to rely upon our own hopes and misgivings and our experiences of the past and the conditioning of our senses to try and give us the right solution or try to figure it all out. Krishna's got the plan made for all of us. And how we can all know it. The plan Krishna has for us. This chanting, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Based on the needs, based on the wants, based on desire that the devotee seeks Krishna for, he gets completely satisfied. This has been my experience. I have everything I want in life. And I don't need anything. I really don't. Everything's provided. Just keep on serving Krishna, and everything you need to serve Krishna, Krishna will provide. He's the provider. So we have everything to look forward to. And as time progresses and the hearts and minds of men and women across the world become purified, then we can look at this bhakti as taking hold in the world. But without bhakti, then everything is being done for the sake of false ego. There's only two forces out there. There's the internal energy of Krishna, which is bhakti, and there's the external energy of Krishna, which is what people try to use for the false ego. They believe it to be theirs, so then they take it to be that which they can manipulate. We use it for our purpose. I'll dig a hole for my reason. I'll build a house for me, me and mine. And this is messing everything up. It's got the energy of the earth being used for things other than what the earth wants it to be used for. So this is why people fail. They do not know what is desired by God, what is beneficial for the human race, what is beneficial for the earth's production of foodstuffs. But Krishna consciousness will bring to mankind that which he needs to become perfect. That's what we're aspiring to become perfect in all these endeavors we make in our lives. We want to perfect them. Without Krishna, even if we perfect them, it will only give us some better place here. So if we want Krishna, the eternal, then we simply have to come to know Krishna and how to serve him and what to do with our lives to make that possible. Then when that question is answered in our life, then our life is perfect. If you're going to the eternal dwelling, if you are on your way, and if you're in Krishna consciousness, if your mind is being filled every day with thoughts about Krishna, you're on your way. It's going to be a flash of a moment when we get there, when you're in the eternal realm of Vaikuntha, or what to speak of Krishna Loka. The past will seem like a flash moment, gone past and gone away forever. But chances are we won't even have recollection, because nothing temporary enters into the minds of those who are with Krishna in Krishna Loka. The concepts we have here that we take as ordinary concepts to experience, pain, death, suffering, anxiety, failures, disturbances of the elements, all these things, they don't even exist in the spiritual world. It's hard to even imagine the perfection of that in our minds. Every soul's interaction with every other soul, they're interacting with Satchidananda. Satchidananda. We do it with our words, Krishna consciousness, but think of everything. This was made of Satchidananda, just touching it. Bliss. Bliss. Satchidananda, that's what we are. So let's know what we are through the day, and let's experience what we are through the day by simply serving Krishna. Any comments, any questions, any realizations? Grantha Shrimadbhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.